Hey guys, when you first started merchant services, getting through the door is one of the toughest things that you're going to do. You're going to find that sometimes you're like sitting in your car for like 5 minutes, you're listening to that song, like trying to get motivated on the way in the door. Well, once we get through that, how do we take that anxiousness and turn it into confidence as we walk through the door to make sure that we're showing that confidence to our merchants, to our gatekeepers, and whoever we need to get through to in order to make that sale or in order to set that appointment. So we have to get these things all nailed down before we walk in the door. So exactly how do we do that? Well, option number one is you have to take that anxiety and tell yourself this is what greatness feels like. And when I say that, I mean it's taking anxiety and making sure that you're internalizing anxiety as this is what success feels like. This is what I need to feel like in order to become successful. So associate that stressful feeling and that anxiety feeling with something positive. That's the number one thing that you need to do. So as soon as you feel that, like, I don't want to go in, that's like, this is what greatness feels like. Now I know I need to go in. Like that, like let it get you fired up a little bit. Like go in there like guns blazing now. You're like, you're ready to go, baby. Like, come on now. All right. So that's number one. Obviously, not quite to that level. We have to use our bottled enthusiasm, not like overflowing enthusiasm, but I think you guys get the point. Now, when we're going through the door, we're almost always going to be faced with gatekeepers, maybe like 10, 20, maybe even 30% of the time, depending on the vertical you're going to speak with. Well, you might get the business owner, but most of the time, you're going to get gatekeepers. So, how do we get through gatekeepers? We use our script. So, first of all, we have to come off as a friendly, right? We don't want to be somebody who comes off as, a little bit standoffish or like, hey, I need to speak to the owner now, right? Like that's never going to work. So imagine you're the gatekeeper. How do you want someone to come in and speak with you? Well, we're going to use what's called the I care tonality. Now, hopefully, by this point, you guys know what the I care tonality is. The I care tonality is what we use at the very beginning of a phone call. It's like, hey, is Joe there? It's just Mitch. Personal business, right? So we've already gone through that script before. But in this case, it's like, hey, yeah, I'm here with Visa and MasterCard. I'm just looking for, whoever is in control of that. Is that you or is that someone else? So you see, I'm exaggerating the tonality, obviously, for training purposes, right? But in one way or the other, we want to have that upward inflection of tone. And we want to have that upward inflection of tone to make ourselves sound friendly, familiar, and like we genuinely care. And we genuinely need to speak with that owner. Like, hey, is Joe here? Right? And we're doing that because it sounds friendly. It's not like we don't want them to go back to Joe and say, Joe, this guy from Visa MasterCard's out there. It sounds like you're in trouble. We don't want that because then he's going to come out standoffish, right? He's going to be like, what's going on? Right? We don't want to start that way. Hey, Joe, this guy's here from Visa MasterCard. Seems like a really nice guy. Not quite sure what he's here about, but it sounds a little bit serious because he's here with Visa and MasterCard. I figured I'd pass it along to you. That's the conversation that you want the gatekeeper to be having with the owner, not like this one of fear, right? Even if it is a fear, it's like he's a really nice guy, but I was just a little bit concerned about this. Okay, so let's make sure we have that correct. So always stick to the script. This is how we get through the gatekeepers. You have to stick to that script, right? If you know you're speaking with the owner right off the bat, you probably aren't going to go with this script. You're just going to say, hey, is Joe here? Hey, I'm Joe. Joe, pleasure to meet you, Mitchell Fleming, right? So then you can go, right into your pitch. You're going to pull out your piece of paper and you're going to say, hey, these are the rates, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that later. But this is how we open the door and how we get through those gatekeepers right here, guys. So make sure we stick to the script. You're going to stay in that I care tonality. The gatekeeper is going to go get that business owner for you. And right when they come back, you're going to be prepared with the exact social proof that you need in order to get the business owner to buy into exactly what you're saying and to pique their curiosity for them to say, I wonder if he could do this for me, or excuse me, I wonder if she could do this for me. So keep all those pieces in mind. That's exactly how it's done. See you on the next module.